Hi loves, I hope you're all doing well. I hope that June treated you well and not too much has been exposed or, broken down with so many more planets motioning retrograde. But let me know in the comments down below what word kind of really summed up June for you. Okay, so obviously the style of this reading is not how I even imagined. Now that, my chart isn't so vigorously activated, I should be able to do normal horoscopes starting next month. So I hope that this podcast style reading is okay for you. So essentially, obviously, we're going to just walk through. I'm going to be walking you through the month of July, touching on the astrology, my own intuitive insights for the month for your personal sign. Check your sun, your moon, and your rising sign. When it comes to the astrology, I feel, well, it depends. I'm not going to tell you what to do. So definitely there is this feeling in July about feeling exposed, right? We're still in eclipse transition season, right? So we're still in this transitional phase as we're wrapping up and finalizing the karmic build-up of Cancer Capricorn while embarking upon the abundant and exuberance of Gemini Sagittarius eclipses, right? So whenever the nodes dealing with fate and karma, reach those last few degrees of a sign and the beginning degrees of a sign, this is like potent energy, okay? And it really can give that vibe of exposure. It's like cracking an egg open to reveal the goo inside, right? Once Pandora's box has been opened, it's impossible to, shut it away. After all, you can't uncrack an egg, right? So the planetary vibes for this month. So as we begin, and I like to look at, sunrise and kind of like where the planets are to really get a tone or a notion as to what this month can bring. And July 1st, we have the sun in Cancer pressing up upon, Mercury retrograde, okay? With the moon, the ruler of the sun, okay, the ruler of the chart, really, like the moon is in Scorpio and it's opposing Uranus. So when we're having Scorpio Uranus vibes, this is again a very expository vibe that we're experiencing, right? Mercury is still going to be retrograde until July 12th in the sign of Cancer, and when Mercury is retrograde in the sign of Cancer, we can find ourselves even exposing ourselves, exposing things from the past. Now usually in true Mercury fashion, it happens accidentally. The past gets brought up and then it gets dragged out into the open, and we discover things that we discover something and we kind of are faced with remembering it in a way that actualizes what really actually happened. So words like accountability are really strong for the month of July, especially, when we're looking at Saturn re-emerging back into the sign of Capricorn to join with Pluto and Jupiter for the new moon, okay, that's going to happen at the latter degrees of Cancer towards the end of the month. But Mercury is the messenger, okay? He travels between realms to get you the information that you need, okay? Mercury retrograde in Cancer unveils the part of you that needs to be heard, the part of you that needs to be healed, okay? So Cancer deals with things that, weigh heavy on our hearts. Emotions tend to be heightened, repressed memories resurface. There are memories and themes surrounding that sense of belonging, childhood, and the past, right? The inner child is almost throwing a tantrum with all of this energy and all of this, stuff that is being projected onto Cancer right now as we're wrapping up a big cycle. Things don't go to plan, and it can make you feel like a child again, feeling completely out of control, feeling controlless. And the thing is, right, we have to remember Mars is in Aries, okay? This is crucial that we remember we can only control ourselves. We do not get to control the way that other people respond to us, our emotions, our actions, our thoughts, our feelings. We don't get to control that, okay? So July really is about owning up and showing up for yourself. It's about listening and hearing what you've not allowed, you've not allowed yourself to hear before. It's about owning all that you are, not just the parts of you that you feel are or will be deemed worthy. July can expose themes around parenthood and acknowledging the parts of us that are not necessarily our own, but have been imprinted upon us with, the generational patterns that are passed on through us from our parents and our grandparents and our great grandparents and those early life experiences, because when a baby comes in, a baby isn't born racist, a baby isn't born with hate in its heart, a baby isn't born selfish, a baby isn't born any of these things. A baby, for the first 7 years of your life, you learn and you imitate and you imprint like a psychic sponge, Cancer sponge, right? You kind of, you take on, the karmas and the stuff of, your parents, because they are your first understanding of the world. And, so it's kind of like your past influence forges who you are, but your responding actions or reactions, that's all you right now, right? Because I'm sure nobody listening to this is a child, right? So nobody is to blame for what you do but you. Okay, so with many planets that are in retrograde this month, okay, we're being forced to look back, way back, and to right and heal the wrongs that have been made and have been done, right? Because Cancer Capricorn eclipses, they only come about every 18 years. And the cycle is even more significant because we have planets that have been together, they haven't been together for hundreds of years, and now they're coming back in. So it's bringing those karmas from that time period of when they were together last, which is big, which is why big stuff is happening right now. It has to happen. It has to feel uncomfortable. It has to feel these ickiness, right? It has to feel this way, uncomfortable, in order to pave the way for change, right? Because nothing new can be built on something old. You have to destroy it, right? You have to destroy what was once there in order to rebuild. Otherwise you have, you end up with root rot and stuff that will just it's just not good, right? So we can definitely clearly see, looking at the astrology, that there is an imbalance with power dynamics, right? Saturn, when it was in Aquarius, obviously it will enter back into Aquarius permanently in December again. But we, the people are realizing power lies within us all along, right? The people that we elect, into positions of power, fame, and influence are only there because we put them there. With support, with attention, with our money, with purchases. And as quick as we give our time, our energy, and our money, we can decide not to. And the only person that you can control, again, this is a Mars and Aries issue, is you, right? You need to not only speak your standard, but you need to live it. You need to also take action upon it. You can't hide from yourself right now. That is literally impossible with the planetary energy that's going on. And people around you, we're all seeing people for who they really are, and if you live in your authenticity, there's nothing to fear because you're not hiding from the shadow of yourself, right? You're not hiding from yourself. But those who live in the realm of make-believe and are consumed by the external, and there is no judgment. I don't say that with judgment in my heart, not at all. Everything happens for a reason. It's a part of your life experience and your life journey. But living in the Neptunian realms of social media, it can be a time where that mask will slip because literally everything is recorded. Everything, there are receipts, right? There's receipts for everything. And we're going to see an uprise in those receipts. When it comes to those things. And a lot of it is bringing the past back up. The past is being resurrected, with that Pluto looking at that new moon, a lot of those things are coming back to the surface. So as I said, okay, July has this element of a continual exposure. And I sense that the information, correspondences and miscommunications are still highly likely for the month of July, but the central vibe is in and surrounding change, okay? Sudden and unexpected, out of the box, shocking stuff coming to light this month. So whatever is revealed, it will alter everything for you. you know. So once you know something, once you learn something, it's like a domino effect in your brain, right? Everything starts to get rewired in a sense. So it can change your home, it can change your family dynamics, it can change your beliefs about someone or something. It can even change or bring about a change in about, you know, your careers or your ambitions as a result of the events that unfold in July. You might discover or learn or explore something that changes things for you. But honestly, like, what I'm seeing is a flip on the script that is your life, be it in love, home, work, or even yourself somehow. But I also have to add that whatever happens is somehow supposed to happen. There's a touch of destiny about it. The nodes are involved, destiny is upon us, right? So I know some of the things that I've already mentioned about July, if you've made it this far into the reading, they can seem a little bit triggering. I only tell you what I see and what I sense, and I assure you that there's a lot here that is aligning you to your purpose this month. Sometimes shocking events need to happen to trigger us into action, to make the change, to move and shake things up. And a lot of what I feel will build, and perhaps it might not even culminate until we get into November this year. But significant things are happening in July to inspire action and change. So, you know, whatever you wanted, you know, you might decide this month that you don't want it anymore. Mercury goes direct, and, you know, so, you know, if you have been making bad choices, falling back into past behaviors, habits, relationships, etc., right? You might, in the second part of this month, discover nothing's actually changed at all. And those old problems, they're all still there. Now, I do have a link in the information box below if you want to check out more about your personal Mercury retrograde transit. But now let's move on to the month of July, right? If you would like me to, you know, look at all of this for you in a personal session, feel free to check out my services. I will also leave a link in the cards and in the information box below. Okay, so Cancers, suns, moons, and rising signs. So looking at you right now, okay, if we look at the sign of Cancer, we have Mercury retrograde. Okay, and this happens every 7 years or so, and like the vibe that I get with this is that when it comes to Cancers, be it your sun, your moon, your rising, there is this uninhibited wanting to be seen type of mentality because Mercury's retrograde. When we think about Cancers in general, they're usually pretty I'm going to say empathic or like thoughtful and compassionate with their response, with their communication, right? But when Mercury is retrograde, there's no filter there. It's kind of kicking up all of this stuff. It's like a windstorm that is going on internally that is being seen a little bit more, like a little bit more easier, right? It's kind of like the shell is being removed from the crab, right? It kind of feels like this month of July, you're revealing and expressing a lot more of yourself than you would normally reveal and express, right? There is this, I need to connect, I need to socialize, I need to vocalize myself, right? Because Mercury's retrograde, you're not necessarily, you know, thinking in a clear and concise sort of manner, right? Because if we think about Mercury governs over your 12th house, the subconscious, right? This stuff, and let me just say, like, Cancers think about a lot of stuff all the time, right? Their mind is constantly in motion, and so you're speaking and word vomiting, you know, a lot of stuff that maybe perhaps doesn't need to be exposed or doesn't need to be revealed. And Mercury also governs over your 3rd house, right? Of your communication, of your immediate environment, of the people and the things that you ordinarily do. And so a lot of this is being exposed. It's being dug out into the open to a certain extent. Now, the theme of this, at least this month, I do feel like it's I do feel like there's an element here that is tied to work, because obviously we have Mars that has now entered into the 10th house, and it's going to be here until January of 2021. Okay, so there's a lot kind of going on here. And obviously Chiron is up in the 10th house as well in Aries, and so Mars is ultimately going to connect with Chiron at some point, and then the retrograde motion and all of that over the next, 5-6 months or so. And so like it does create like this wound. Okay, it's ripping open a wound. Mars is just going in for it, right? He's ripping everything open. He's getting to the point and the mission and the purpose, right? When we're dealing with Mars in Aries, he doesn't think, okay? He is programmed. He has a mission and he knows that he has to complete that mission. He's not stealthy like a Mars in Scorpio would be, who's masterminding and, strategically moving things along. Mars in Aries is the soldier, the warrior. He's coming to deliver that onto you. And so it's bringing up a lot of these. I mean, it depends where your natal Mars is and how that is influencing and aspecting, or influencing your 10th house in some regard. But there's a lot here that is being kicked up. There's a lot here that is being unveiled and released. Not to mention we have Uranus. Technically it's still moving forward, okay, but it will go retrograde in a little while, not this month, but it will come about. But you have the Black Moon Lilith with Uranus, the ruler of your 8th house. Fears, your worst nightmares, your worst fears when it comes to your hopes, your dreams, your wishes, because, it's in Taurus. And you have the ruler of your 11th house in the 12th house still, because it spent a little bit of time here with the retrograde and now it's moving back through. It's dealing with these past issues, these past things that are coming about, right? So I do feel like work to an extent is highlighted for the month. There is a theme surrounding work, but I also see it more as tackling problems in an almost sneaky manner, right? We do have that new moon towards the latter degrees of Cancer in aspect to Pluto, Jupiter and Saturn, right? So there is this kind of going about something in a way to avoid actually addressing it head on. It feels a little bit deceptive, not behaving in a manner that is totally authentic to you. Mercury is retrograde in your sign, okay? It's kind of like your hidden self is coming to the light. It's being illuminated. You also have the final eclipse happening, I think it's on the 5th, happening in your happening in your 7th house. This is everything to do with the public arena, the other people in your life. It's highlighting, it's illuminating all of that stuff, illuminating your enemies, your open spaces, your contracts, your agreements. All of these things are coming up, and it's kind of like casting. It brings huge changes, right? Huge changes and transformations. So it does depend upon your past deeds, because Saturn does give rewards, okay? Saturn always gives rewards, but Saturn is the ruler of your 7th, and it is the ruler of your 8th, which does indicate an element of surprise, an element of unexpectedness that's coming about. And in aspect to Pluto, that's your 5th house, so like your creative self-expression totally being challenged right now, totally being brought out into the open. And Mercury retrograde in the sign of Cancer, this is like a 7-year process of digging through the past 7 years of stuff, but even further back than that, because you have planets like Jupiter, you have planets like, and obviously Jupiter rules and runs through 12-year cycles. You have planets like Pluto, you have planets like Saturn, that spends, it's basically a lot is going on right now. And I definitely feel like, for July, like, the outcome is in and surrounding opening up about the past, giving some context to the why, but not making it an excuse or blaming it, right? Mars in Aries is needing you to take accountability. If a soldier goes off mission, he needs to take accountability for not following the rules, not following like the plan, right? There's repercussions. When you're at war, there is no room for error. You have to follow the instructions. It's very clear, it's very direct. in that manner. So obviously last month, you know, it had you questioning friendships. It had you questioning what certain friendships are costing you, and are you trying to keep up with social expectations and like social groups or networks, you know, trying to keep up. It's almost like I heard like keeping up with the Kardashians, right? Trying to like fit yourself into a group, trying to fit yourself into a status that you want to kind of be associated with. And in theory, it's kind of taking you away from who it is that you innately truly are, you know? So it's almost like a reality check, a checking back in with yourself. And it's like, maybe, I mean, because there's this notion that, you know, the 5 people that you spend the most time with will determine your level of success. And it's kind of like, are the people that you're around all the time, in connection and communication with, are those people the best people for you? You know, as a water sign, Cancer, you're likely to take on mannerisms and characteristics connected to the people that you spend the most time with. You're a psychic sponge, okay? And it's not as extreme as it is with Pisces, because Pisces is literally a fish. It has no protection, it has no shell, it just is what it is. But it is 1,000% a trait that I see in every single Cancer, be it the Cancer moon, the Cancer sun, or a Cancer rising. Every single Cancer, and I know a lot of them. It's just basic synastry, right? Because they're gonna trigger and highlight parts within you. And water signs are the most influenced and the most malleable signs. So yeah, it's definitely, you know, last month it had you looking at your social circle and really seeing them for who they truly are. You know, where they're ultimately leading you, where they're going, where your tribe is going, you know. And if you wouldn't trade places with those people, then why are they a part of your life? You know, it's okay to help and to guide and to, you know, nurture and all of those things, but your time should be allocated in a way that doesn't eat or intrude into your energetic space. Now, for the month of July, okay, so that was like last month's energy leaking in to a certain extent into July. You know, this month, there are going to be more kind of gossip, more little white lies, more just like, I mean, if we think about it, okay, Cancer, your 7th house has been highlighted. It's been highlighted for a while. You had Pluto there highlighting it for years. You also have Saturn here. Saturn's been here for years. And you had the nodes here, right? And now we're transitioning out of this energy. The repercussions of that is still going to play out for the next 5 to 6 months, but we're closing on that journey. But why that's important is that the 7th house is the open space for other people, for the public, for open enemies, for your friendships, your one-to-ones. All of these things have been spotlighted in your life. All of these things are highlighted within you, right? So yes, you know, with the good comes the sour, you know. And so I just feel like with Mercury retrograde as well, you know, through this transit, it's especially difficult and it's especially hard because there's going to be miscommunications. You're not going to be able to convey yourself in the way that you usually would. And if you're too quick to speak or to share, you're going to end up opening a can of worms that is going to be so misconstrued that you're not going to give a true representation of yourself, right? And you're not going to be able to put those worms back in the pot. Once they're out, that's it, you're done, right? And as a result of you being too quick to the gun, you being too quick to react, it's going to end up you needing to look for these loopholes that may not even exist to get you out of a situation. So it's a heads up from me to say that fake friends are circling, right? Fake friends are circling. And I would highly recommend that you refuse any offers and propositions that are being made to you right now, because I assure you that they could very quickly turn into traps, okay? I just see hidden enemies coming out and trying to unhandedly win arguments and put words in your mouth. And because Mercury's retrograde, it's like you're not in your best mind. You're not in your best state, this is a great time for you to reconsider and reflect on the past, to do the inner work. This isn't a time, especially the first half of the month, to be vocalizing and jumping the gun, because it will just get blown out of proportion. Because of that as well, we also have that new moon towards the end of the month, around the 20th to 21st. There's going to be an aspect to Jupiter. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. Pluto unearths all kinds of crap. Saturn's coming in as well. It's just not going to happen, right? It's just turning a bad situation into a worse one. It's just making more drama, more trouble. Now, this is going to play out to different severities depending on, your personal chart. But it is a big time for Cancers, for Capricorns, for those cardinal signs, because a lot of pressure and a lot of energy has been working in these signs for such a period of time that the nodes always indicate events, triggering events, right, that are being activated. And so this is the final eclipse that we're having in the sign of Capricorn. Cancer was towards the end of June. And so it is highlighting a lot right now that, I would just say leaving certain social situations would be to your highest advantage right now, and leaving behind those obligations or that false sense of duty that you feel obligated to within those groups of people, networks and whatnot. Just keep what you know to yourself right now. Don't share what you know with anybody, because with Mercury retrograde, with your 7th house of enemies highlighted, and with the ruler of your 12th house, hidden enemies, also highlighted, okay, you just don't. People are just going to take what you say out of context, and it could very quickly turn into more drama for you. And I would also say, don't believe everything that you hear. Wherever there's false relationships involved, people might be trying to put words in your mouth, trying to say things to get you to say things. It feels very exposing, right? Cancer, you're being exposed in a big way. So just keep your ideas to yourself, because you don't want to kind of end up, as a result of everything that's going on, being in environments and situations where people don't get along. Because you have Cancers have some of the biggest hearts, okay? They really truly do, and they feel everything very intensely, usually. I mean, it depends on certain alignments and where your moon is if you're not a Cancer moon, but it can just lead you into a bad and fake situation or event where that information, and it could be bad, it could be planted information, it might not even be 100% accurate, it might just be maliciousness and jealousy and whatnot, but that information could end up just getting you in trouble, right? So it's best just to keep your mouth shut right now. You mind you do you, right? I would also say as well, if you have the ability, you should just take some time for yourself, right? Take some time away, take some time for yourself. Maybe if you can, I mean, I know obviously we're in COVID-19, it's a little bit hard, but just separate yourself. You don't have to right now in the world need to be in places or situations that you don't need to be in right now, right? So taking some time out to really assess the elephant in the room, or the obstacle, the issue that you're facing on a personal level, and finding a way to navigate out of that. Now, obviously, as we approach, as we get into the summer months and into the beginning of autumn, you will receive the solution that you need. But right now is not the time for you to come up with solutions and quick fixes. It's just not going to happen for you. It's not going to work. Wait. Just wait. Okay, is my advice to you. I also feel like it's time for you to relinquish your over dependency on others. It's almost like I'm getting the impression of a black cat. Now, personally, to me, black cats are not evil in any regard, okay? Black cats, but it's that omen, it's that message for you to stop in your tracks, for you to consider the actions that you're taking, the words that you're speaking. Black cats as well, if you think about cats, they don't have they're not blindly loyal, right? They're very independent. They come and go as they please. They do whatever the heck they want, right? That's the nature of a cat. Yeah, so when it comes to black cats, this is literally about you taking time for yourself, right? Because right now you could end up being the I don't know, like, I just feel like when it comes to, obviously, black cats, it's said to be unlucky, right? It's said to be unlucky. I don't personally vibe that way. But this is a time for you to just focus on yourself, first and foremost, right? Focus on yourself. The clearing up of things can happen in, a month or two. It doesn't have to happen right now. This is essentially a brand new beginning, okay? A brand new beginning that is happening, and you need to clear out, the clutter, the people, the stuff that you just don't need in your life, right? This is about you finding your own footing, your own independence to pave your own way forward. So hopefully that makes sense. It does feel a little bit intense, to be honest, but you have a lot kind of highlighted within your chart right now. So just take this time for you. Take this time to reflect, to plan, to work and build on something that's important to you, as opposed to getting involved with dramas and friendships who drag you into things that you don't need to be a part of, let's just say. Obviously addressing things, just don't add any more fuel to the fire, right? Your time to speak will come. Right now, you're not in your best mind, and you're not going to be able to give a true representation of yourself. So just hold back. Know that everything that is happening has happened for a reason. This is not the end. This is just a new beginning. It's like impending chaos that needs to kind of ensue to dig out the crap, so that you can press forward with your life, right? So thank you so much. Hopefully you can relate to this, and I will see you in another video.